Welcome everyone to Nerd of the Rings. This one's heavier than the last one, so I need to be really careful when I do that. Today we have got the Wētā Workshop Balrog Classic Series statue. Once again, we are brought to you by Collector Zone. Be sure to check them out at collectorzone.com. Use the code NOTR to save yourself 15% off your order of Lord of the Rings or any other nerdy thing. Any other nerdy thing they've got, save 15% with the code NOTR. Like I said, today is the Balrog Classic Series. Now this is not a 1/6 scale as the previous ones have been, because 1/6 scale of a Balrog would be quite a bit bigger. And you know, the whole goal that they had with these are kind of nice bookshelf size. They fit nicely on a bookshelf. If we had a 1/6 scale Balrog, he wouldn't fit so nicely on a bookshelf. But we'll get into all kinds of great Balrog lore here in a minute, but for now, let's get this puppy out. There we go, on the foam, Wētā Workshop. I don't know if there's a more exciting feeling in my mail day than when I get a box in the mail that says Wētā Workshop on the side of the cardboard. It's a pretty good feeling. All right, here we go. Balrog of Morgoth. All right, this looks to be all one single piece, so we will gently pull it out. Nice and well packed with the foam here. There we go. Oh man. Kind of curled around this rock. He's got his tail curled around the rock. I think this is one of the more subtle depictions I've seen of Balrog wings on a statue. So for those of you who are like myself that are like, yeah, I don't think Balrogs had wings, you know, it's not bad. They're not overly obtrusive here and flashy wings. It's just kind of they're kind of there in the background a bit. And I always feel like I have to clarify, I'm not against Balrog wings per se. I will fully admit they look awesome, both with and without wings. I just lean toward them probably not having wings. I think it's metaphorical. I think it's shadow. They're wings of shadow. They're not gonna be flying around. They're not like penguins. You know, I don't think Morgoth is like twisting them and making them take on this dark shape and giving them wings just for fun. I think it's shadow. Either way, Balrogs look cool, with or without wings. They look cool. And then, unlike the last one with Frodo, we can actually see some of the Middle-earth map on this one. Always enjoy seeing the Middle-earth map, which is under every statue. Even if it's covered up, it's under there. And he's got his whip of fire that also curves around, all the way around. And again, I always bring this up, but I love looking at the details. So for the Balrog, one of the cool details for me is, you know, kind of these cracks in his skin where the fire seems to emanate from below, and you get it through these cracks of his skin, very much like magma, I think, with a volcanic eruption. Like you might see, you know, the outer part where it's cooled a little bit, so it's black, and then you've got that burning orange red underneath. Of course, we have the mane of fire, which is directly referenced in the book, that his mane of fire flares up. One thing I always loved about the design of the Balrog in the films is how massive his horns are and how much of his skull they seem to take up. It's not just, you know, these horns kind of sticking off a little bit of the side. Like, they take up so much of his face, and it's just such an integral part of his face structure. And then, of course, we have his mighty jaw with the flame. You get that white-hot flame in the back. Very, very cool, and I'm sure if you've watched the appendices, you know this already. But a really cool thing with the Balrog is they were trying to figure out how to do the flame, and they were doing all these techniques of, you know, filming flames against a black backdrop, trying to use that somehow. And while they were in production, someone actually created digital fire. And it was just another one of those cases where these movies were just made at the perfect right time for things to click into place. And there was no small amount of fate or luck that was in these films, it seems like, to just happen to be making these at the right time when Digital Flame was created. And as always, they just seem to do such a great blend of CG and practical effects. And some of my favorite behind-the-scenes pictures that I've seen over the years are them working on the design of the Balrog. Such an iconic creature and such a momentous moment in the films and the books when he faces off with Gandalf. And if we take a look at the bottom very carefully again here, we see Victor Gully is the principal sculptor on the Balrog. So shout out to Victor, wonderful work. I'm sure this guy will look quite epic on the bookshelf. And we'll take a look on the inside of the box here. We've got some images of Victor actually modeling this very statue. And we get to read a bit about the Balrog. Of the terrors to confront the Fellowship of the Ring on their journey, none was greater than the Balrog. A demon of flame and shadow, the Balrog lay entombed for centuries in the deepest darkness, far beneath the misty mountains. Far below the surface, the dwarves of Khazad-dûm cut their way downward through sunless black rock in their quest for that most valued of metals, mithril. But the dwarves delved too greedily and too deep. Seeking riches, their picks broke into the prison of a being of unfathomable terror, a relic of a time long past, when great powers fought and reshaped the world in their wrath. The Balrog was a creature the likes of which should never walk again in Middle-earth, and for whom there were few equals. No blade or device of dwarf design could harm it, and by the hundreds, Durin's people fell to its flames, the king himself included. The beast would come to be known as Durin's Bane, and in its wake gathered all manner of lesser evil things, drawn to the demon's power and presence. When the Fellowship of the Ring sought to pass beneath the misty mountains and thwart the intentions of the fallen wizard Saruman, it was in spite of Gandalf's grave misgivings, for the Grey Wizard had long wondered and begun to suspect what haunted in the shadows of Moria. Secrecy, he reasoned, might yet secure their safe passage, for if the Balrog were alerted, Gandalf knew escape would only be bought at a great price, and he would not again pass through the Dwarf Realm's doors. I have to say, I feel pretty good about my What If the Balrog Took the Ring video. If you haven't seen that, definitely go check it out. It's a pretty fun one that gets pretty crazy. But I particularly love that line of lesser evil beings being drawn to the power and the darkness of the Balrog. That came into play big time in my theory. Well, there you go, guys. It is the Balrog, part of the classic series by Wētā Workshop. An absolutely gorgeous piece wreathed in flame. Like, you could do some really cool things with lighting with this particular piece. If you've got some cool bookshelf or display lights, I bet you could get some really cool lighting effects on this guy and make him feel like he's even more on fire. As always, thank you to CollectorZone.com, and don't forget to check out all their great products. They've got a wonderful range of statues, both Lord of the Rings and a ton of other nerdy fun stuff. Use the code NOTR at checkout to save yourself 15%. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Nerd of the Rings. You cannot pass! See, I did the book quote there. Do you guys like the book quote or the movie quote better? You cannot pass or you shall not pass. Let me know in the comments. A fun fact about the Balrog, though, as scary as this dude is, he is even scared of the nameless things that are deeper in the depths of Moria. Like, when Gandalf is following him, going to the highest peak where you see Gandalf take him out, the Balrog is running from whatever is down below. We're only told they're the nameless things. The Watcher in the Water might be one of those nameless things, but whatever is down there, it's scary, man. The Balrog is scared of the nameless things. And he's pretty scary.